Hi, my name is Wendy Altobello. I'm a legal expert from 9 to 5, but I also have my home-based business for which that I had to gain a lot of marketing knowledge. And one of the sources that I used was this book, The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. And today I want to share with you the fourth law, which is the law of perception. Now, in my previous videos, I already addressed the first till the third law. And actually, the law of perception already went as a red line through those videos. But now it's going to get more specific. So what this book says, and which is just true, is that marketing is not a battle of products, it's a battle of perceptions. Most marketeers focus, and most companies, when they want to do their marketing, they focus on facts, on figures, on analysis, and they try to come up with all the facts to prove that their product is better than the products that are already in the market, products or services, whatever. And they try to get as much ammunition as they can, and weaponed with all that ammunition, they go to the marketplace and they're convinced that that ammunition will help them convince the consumer's minds. But that's actually an illusion, because when you go about that way, you have the assumption that the people's minds are objective, and that's actually an illusion. Because reality, there is no such thing as reality. Reality only exists in the subjective minds of customers and of prospects. So what exists is perception. It's not truth. And people, I can see that by myself as well, people are terrified about the fact that we don't live in a world of objectivity. And they are terrified that reality only exists in their head, in their mind. And that's why they turn to the outside world just to cope with the feeling of not being in some kind of reality. They cope with that feeling by projecting themselves on the outside world. They flee into books, into television, but also they join clubs. They want to be part of organizations and institutions, and that's actually just their way to make sure that they live in an objective and real world. But for them, that outside world seems more real than the perceptions that they have in their own mind. And they're willing to put their own mind's perceptions aside to make sure that they cling to the perception of their outside world. So that's a very strong thing. People hold on to the belief that reality is the world outside of their mind, which again is not true. Reality is a thing within the mind of every person on an subjective basis. The only thing that you can be absolutely sure of is your own perception. Okay, there are oceans, there are mountains, there are cities and towns, but you only know about these objects through your own perceptions. If you think about it, it's awkward, but it's true. And marketing is the manipulation of those perceptions. So in the market, you're not fighting a battle rooted in reality. It doesn't work that way. Truth is only the perception of someone that we perceive as an expert in our outside world that we cling to as being an objective and real world. The truth is what someone that we perceive as an expert says. And then if we know this, then how can a battle of facts and figures change that perception? And this is where marketing has the wrong focus. And we keep repeatedly seeing this. Marketeers believe in an objective reality, so they focus on facts. Plus, they want the product that they have to market to be the best. Of course, they have to market it. So they just tweak their own perception a little bit to make sure that in their mind, that product is the best. That's the easiest way, that's their way to cope. But marketeers can tweak their perceptions. But how are you going to do that with a consumer? That's much more difficult. And I'm going to illustrate this with a beautiful example. In the United States, people have the perception that Japanese automobiles are of much better quality than American automobiles. So the market share of Japanese automobiles is much higher than the market share of American automobiles. But if you look at the brands, then Honda has the first place in the market share, then comes Toyota, and then comes Nissan. In Japan, the situation is completely different. Now, if the consumer's mind was based on facts and figures and design and style, then wouldn't that market share be distributed all around the world in the same manner? But in Japan, it's not. In Japan, the first market share is for Toyota, then Nissan, and then in the third place, it's Honda. If in the US you say that you bought a Honda, then people will ask you, oh, did you buy a Civic? Did you buy a Prelude or an Accord? If in Japan you tell that you have bought a Honda, people will ask you, oh, what motorcycle did you get? Because in Japan, in people's minds, Honda is a motorcycle producer, and that just won't change. So the marketeer can tweak his own perception to be able to stand behind its product, saying that it's the best, but it does not have the ability to change the perception of the consumer. What if Harley Davidson would come up with a car? Even if it had a great styling, a great price, if everything was in place the way that it should be, and even though people perceive Harley Davidson as a quality product, do you think that the consumer would buy Harley Davidson cars? I don't know, but the book says no. So that's it for the law of perception. I think it's a very strong argument. I hope you find it interesting, because I'll be back shortly with the law number 5. Bye.